As soon as this woman comes out of the store, the security alarm rings. The guard says, "Hey, 1 minute, stop." She says, "I didn't do anything." The guard says, "What do you have?" "Oh, so you were stealing. I will call the police right now." The woman, scared, says, "No, for God's sake. If you call the police, my child will be taken away from me." He says, "Yes, I will call the police so that you never come here again." This man is watching everything. She says, "No, for God's sake." The man comes forward and says, "Wait, how much did this woman steal?" The guard says, $30. The man says, $30 for just these few things? The guard says, $30 for not calling the police? The man says, "Okay, but on one condition. I will pay this woman's debt." The woman, scared, says, "What condition?" He says, "You come to my house." The woman, surprised, says, "Your house?" He says, "Yes, you have something I need. Will you agree or not?" The woman says, "Okay, I'll come." Then the man gives money to the guard and takes the woman to his home. On the way, the woman, scared, says, "Sir, what will I have to do there?" The man says, "The favor I did for you, you must return it." She says, "But what will I have to do?" The man says, "I'll tell you there. Don't be afraid." The man takes the woman inside the house. Then the man calls his son. The son comes. The father says, "Son, I have brought the solution to our problem." The son, surprised, asks, "Papa, what is this? Why did you bring her?" The son comes downstairs. The father says, "She can do it for us. She is healthy." The son says, "Papa, this isn't right." The father says, "Son, she has agreed. No one will be harmed." The man asks the woman, "Are you healthy?" The woman says, "Yes." He says, "And do you breastfeed your child?" The woman says, "Yes." "But why?" The son says, "Papa, this is too much." The father says, "I am not doing this for you. I am doing this for my grandson. His mother left, and I don't want him to become weak." The son leaves. The woman says, "But why didn't you tell me before?" The man says, "I was afraid you might refuse." Then the man takes the woman to the son's room. The woman goes to the young man and says, "If you allow, I can breastfeed your son." The young man says, "Will you really do this?" She says, "The baby is very innocent. I'll be happy to do it." The young man says, "Thank you so much. We will pay you well." The woman says, "I just want to help." The next day, the young man comes to the woman and says, "My heart says you will be a very good mother." The woman, shy, says, "Don't say that. We are very different." He says, "It doesn't matter." The woman says, "I am a maid. You are the owner." He says, "The real thing is what kind of heart you have." The woman says, "But I even stole once." The young man says, "That was your compulsion for your child." The young man further says, "Can we go out sometime with the kids?" The woman says, "Yes." At the same time, the man comes and says to the woman, "This gift is for you. You did a lot for us." The woman thanks him. The father leaves. The young man says, "Will you be my wife?" The woman, smiling, says, "Yes." The young man says, "Then come on, let's go out." Then the young man's first wife comes home and says, "You can't leave my son with this woman." The husband says, "You left us. Why did you come back now?" The first wife says, "I made a mistake, but I want to see my son." The husband says, "Talk to the lawyer. Now go, or I'll call the police." The wife goes back. Sometimes fate brings us to the place where our biggest weakness becomes someone's biggest support. If you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.